Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Lance Knob with the Denali Consulting and 4% Breakthrough Communities, and I'm here today with a really awesome, extraordinary person and entrepreneur, Sheena Potts, a financial representative at Evolution Financial Group, and also fitness expert, personal trainer at Pure Fitness. Sheena, listen, you've done so many amazing things, and especially I want to talk about your transition and your pivot from the fitness industry to the financial industry. And I know you had your back completely against the wall, but really inspiring story for all of us. Can you tell us how you did it?
Yeah, sure. Hey, thanks for that wonderful intro, by the way. So, to really make a long story very short, 2020 was a big year, I think, for a lot of people. At that time, I was about 20 years in the fitness industry and I was managing a training department, single mother, three children, and COVID happened and the world sort of shut down. The first couple weeks, you kind of go, okay, we're just, we're managing, we're taking care of the kids and figuring out education. And as a few months went by, I started to really question the ability for me to go back into that type of role because I knew that the fitness industry would be pretty largely affected, and as would my position, and what I needed to provide for myself and my family. So I started to just connect with people that I knew in my network and let them know, hey, I'm starting to explore other options, and you need to find an alternative. And thankfully, through a client, found this opportunity with Evolution Financial Group, and that was it. It was a big pivot, but here we are 3 years later. So yeah.
Wow. And did you just sort of take the big leap and because fitness was shut down at that time, and did you go all in then full time to the financial world?
Well, it was a tricky transition, but I did ultimately. So we did open as of September of 2020 where I was working, but I had already accepted a position. I was going through the licensing that was necessary for me to start, and I began that October of 2020. Now, I've been in the industry, the fitness industry, for 20 years, and as you probably know, Lance, being in a similar field, I love it. And I love helping people. And so I kept my foot, really in that industry. I've had a lot of people reach out to me. So I keep a piece of this, training in the fitness world with a select few people. But I really did kind of make that leap of faith into the financial industry and just try to sink my teeth into it as best I could. Yeah.
So good. And yeah, for me as well, I've been continuing to treat patients and, doing less and less of that as I've been doing more and more, coaching
Yep.
and helping people and entrepreneurs and leaders and organizations and speaking and all the things, right? And it's hard to be so good to be good at, everything. So we'll talk more about that because I know a lot
Yeah.
of people who are kind of have side hustles and different things that always comes up, like how you navigate that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can come back to that. But what I want to ask you next was, especially as a single mom with three young children, what other obstacles, how did you handle supporting the family, and what were the biggest obstacles and challenges during this transition? Because so many people have their side hustle or their goal and they just don't
Mhm.
quite get there, right?
Yeah.
So your best advice to them, how'd you do that?
Yeah, I have to say that this opportunity was truly a blessing because the world really shifted, right? And how they were working at that time. So I had the ability to work quite a bit from home. I had this kind of, balanced between going into the office and also working from home. So as a single parent, that was huge. But on the other hand, I was having to really balance my day between being a mother, taking care of my family, and also learning and educating. I was studying. I felt like I went back to college ultimately. And I think back, Lance, and here I am as at that time a 45-year-old mom of three, studying, feeling as though I'm back in college, working a full-time job, juggling all this stuff. And I thought to myself, when I was in college, I should have been a straight A student with all the time that I had. Um,
Right.
But yeah, I was blessed, to answer your question, in that regard, and had a really great support team where I ended up. That was huge. I'm surrounded by some really good people that want to see you succeed. So that was another positive too.
Yeah, and we both, I know Brian through you, and
Yeah.
he seems like, an incredible mentor.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you're in good hands. So how has this changed now, transitioned your, you know, the material you're consuming, right?
Yeah.
Like how much fitness, material you're consuming versus, I know you already mentioned you're taking some of the series tests and different
Yep.
things, and what is your vision now?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I am definitely one to be pretty honest and transparent. I really want that to come across with the people that I work with as well. So I'm going to be honest and transparent. This transition was not an easy one. To make a complete career shift after being in an industry for 20 years in my mid 40s as a single parent was not an easy decision. And so I think, like any entrepreneur, business owner that may be starting a business, you have those good days where you're like, I'm a powerhouse. I'm going to be great. And you have those days where you question everything. And I've gone through that. But I have just stayed consistent and taken really one moment, one day at a time. But when I went through, in order for me to grow in this career, because I started with just a life and health insurance license through the state of New Jersey, and then realizing that that is just a piece of the financial puzzle, right? When you're helping people, that's that safety and protection piece, which is important. But I relate this to fitness because that's where my brain goes. When you look at someone from the fitness perspective, the mobility and stabilization, that's one piece, right? But in order to really truly help them, you want to be able to help the whole picture. What does that look like? And so, with that being said, there were other avenues for me to get educated and licensed in so that I could help families, business owners, individuals on a larger scale. And then anything that I may not be licensed in, I have the team, within my organization, thankfully, that can take on that line of work or that line of business. So yeah, first year it was life insurance and health disability insurance license. The next year I got my securities industry exam license, which that was a meaty book and a scary one and a lot of tears, I will admit. And then I did finally the following year get my series 6 and 63. So looking forward to finish this whole circle of being able to help individuals and families. I'll probably shoot for the 65, either the tail end of this year or beginning next year.
So good. Well, congratulations on all the knowledge and continuing learning and all those
Yeah,
credentials,
thanks.
and even the Series 65. Best of luck. So, for what do the people look like, and what are their needs that actually can benefit from all this new knowledge and credentials that you have?
I have to tell you, one of the things that really struck me was business owners. Being a small business owner prior in my career, oftentimes what happens, whether it's in fitness, you're in construction, you're a painter, whatever it is, you're a web designer, you typically will go into business because you love it, right?
Right.
And you want to help people and you want to provide that service because you do good work and you can help them. Uh, However, you get into that, you love it, but then there's all these other aspects of a business. You have to wear an accountant hat, you have to wear a marketing hat, right? The scheduling hat, the actual person going to do the work, filling the funnel with people, relationships, all those sorts of things. And the financial piece is a big piece of a business that really, I think, can be sort of, I don't want to say overlooked necessarily. It's just, they're just trying to build their business. And so there's no strategy necessarily in place when it comes to looking at the financial picture, whether it be for the business owner themselves or even their business, right? And what can benefit them the most. So I'm seeing myself starting to lean towards having the opportunity to help small businesses in particular. Yeah.
Well, that's a great niche that certainly, yeah, owners, entrepreneurs can use a lot of help. And yeah, it's very easy to get caught up in the hamster wheel, right? And just
Oh,
be
yeah.
caught up in the trenches and, not make time for yourself and maybe not do some of the basic investing things,
Right.
like maybe take advantage of a 401k. Even we didn't have a 401k set up at first. I think we had a simple IRA with our company, and then eventually we
Yep.
got a 401k. And then I think we took it to the next level so that we could contribute more and our team could contribute more.
Yep.
Um, so no, I love to hear that you're serving entrepreneurs. So that's fantastic. And um, what will the Series 65, for example, allow you to do? And then, yeah, I guess if you could continue to maybe answer the question on your vision, like what does, the ultimate success look like for you in the financial
Mm.
world and when you look into the future?
Yeah, like any entrepreneur, Lance, or which I am essentially. When you get
Absolutely.
into this career, right? You are building your book of clientele and how you're helping people. And I have been fortunate because I had established a good reputation, in the fitness industry and helped a lot of people. So when I started to make those reconnections, they trusted me enough to have conversations about their financial picture, so not just their health necessarily. And when I sit down with someone, it's it's more or less trying to determine, okay, when we're having a conversation, what is it financially, no matter how well you're doing or not doing, what is the thing that keeps you up at night, right? And that's what we want to try to help solve. And so oftentimes we have to look at everything. What can we do to help decrease that fear or concern or whatever it may be that they are so overwhelmed with on the financial level? So we will typically, and again, it's all, I love the threads from fitness to financial, right? It's so cool because you can look at the fitness picture and you start with, stabilization, mobility, and strength, and then you move up to power, whatever it might be. And then you look at the financial picture, it's the same thing. We're looking at safety and protection. You need to have those pieces in place, right? The short-term savings, liquid. What do we have liquid that we might need for those emergency
Right.
situations? And then investment, right? What's going to get us to down the road? We've
Yeah.
climbed the mountain of accumulation. Now I got to turn those retirement income streams on. Do I have it? And if I have it, is it going to last? Right?
Right.
So we look at everything so that we can just really help make the best decisions based on each person and whatever their needs are.
So cool. You made me think of, I guess personally, we try to, grow our assets or maybe our net worth, but as a business, we're trying to have enough capital and resources
Sure.
and profit to be able to make the most strategic moves. Like I'm seeing bigger, more
Absolutely.
sophisticated players, for example, make acquisitions, which, I was starting to explore and now,
Mhm.
partner company we're doing more of, and that's really just, doubled, breakthrough really. And
Yeah. Yeah.
even our value, the business value. And thank you for the questions, everybody out there. I was going to ask that. So we already have a couple of good ones coming in. And before we jump right in on those, I just want to let everyone know how Sheena and I, it's hard to believe how we know each other. And it is hard to believe
Oh
we've
yeah.
probably known each other for 20 years already, because when Jody and I started Breakthrough Physical Therapy, we subletted from a little boutique fitness center in Medford called Everfit. And Sheena happened to be a personal trainer and I think a
I was
manager. And
managing there. Yeah. At the time. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
right. And
I can't believe that that was 20 years ago. It's just unbelievable to me. And to see what you guys have grown as well, I just give you so much credit. You've done a phenomenal job with that.
well, thank you. No, it's been fun to be on the ride together with you and yeah, so many amazing people. And yeah, so we ended up buying Everfit, this little studio
Yeah,
in maybe like 2005 after like a year and a half.
yeah.
But you had moved out of the area, right, for a little while, and
I
then you
did.
came
Yeah,
came
I
back.
was
Yeah.
uh, I was up in Central Jersey,
Hmm.
and I was in the fitness industry at that time, and I owned my own business up there. And personal circumstances brought me back down this way. I think a lot of people, I don't know, I've run into a lot of old friends from Medford and Medford Lakes that have kind of gravitated back
Pulled you
to
back.
this
Well,
area.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad you're back in the area as well,
Yeah.
and you're having a lot of fun. Because we reconnected when you were with your last fitness organization,
Mhm.
and now even on the financial side, right? We're
Yeah.
collaborating, connecting, and we have so much fun. We were in the clubhouse rooms together. I mean, your insight
Yeah.
is always so valuable in so many ways, and I love how you help. You're really passionate about helping people get financially healthy as well.
Yeah.
So, Sheena, a couple good questions. Scott has a question for you. I think you can see on your screen, and there's another
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
already. So,
Yeah.
yeah, what are your
Oh,
thoughts?
based on my experience, a tip that I would give someone entering the financial services industry, I would say, one, be patient, because a lot of patience is involved, because there's a lot of learning, but utilize the people around you, whether it's in your office or relationships that you have, and take as much information that can help kind of propel your growth. I've really tried to do that. I've tried to align myself with people within the office that are way smarter than I am, that have been in the business a lot longer than I have, and try to learn from them. As a matter of fact, this week I had a client that I'm working with, and I had reached out to one of the partners, and I said, "Hey, listen, I need to sit down with you and go through this case together." So utilize the resources that you have to help strengthen you in your path, whatever that may be.
I love it. Yeah. So have patience. Don't be in too much of a hurry, and get some mentors and
Yeah.
leverage them frequently. Keep open lines of communication. And there's another question. I can't see who it's from on our platform right here, but thanks, Hannah, for bringing it up. Have you thought about incorporating AI to help you solve any challenges in your business plan?
That's a great question. We just had a whole conversation about AI recently, and have I thought about it? Yes. Have I put anything into practice or action? No. But I love the idea. The AI that is out there is unbelievable to me. I saw there was a gentleman probably about 6 months ago or so was doing a whole webinar series on how to write a book in a week using AI. So it is a phenomenal tool, and that's definitely an area where I would need to find one of those resources that has used it, has benefited from it, and say, okay, now show me, how do I do that? But absolutely, I'd be interested in using something like that if it were to help on like a business plan, even a marketing effort. Yeah.
And I know, yeah, Ray Dalio was using technology and AI, really an early adopter to that. So you
Yeah.
have to talk with some of your leaders and mentors in the organization
Yeah.
and study him as well. Okay, we'll keep the questions coming. And I love the business planning. I'm curious how developed your business plan is and even what your business planning process is.
Yeah, that's
Um,
probably something you and I should sit down together, Lance, and talk about.
Okay, definitely. For sure. Well, along the lines of, AI and really having the latest knowledge, how do you and your organization keep up with all the trends and all the knowledge?
Yeah,
Such a
I mean, there's a whole team, of people, and we're very fortunate where we have resources for um, marketing pieces and things like that. Because in this industry, obviously there's a lot of regulations in place for a reason. So you do have compliance lines that you have to walk within and that sort of thing. So we have a team that develops marketing pieces. If we have an idea, we can present that to the team, and then they'll help design it. They'll take away what we can't, put out there, put in what we can, and utilize that in our marketing efforts. And I feel very fortunate to have the connections that we do as well. So it's a good team.
Is there a part of that process to help you connect, giving guidance to the people that you're serving? Are they as like your greater team,
Yeah. So there's, we're comprised of all financial advisors, planners, representatives. Some may focus, let's say, on 401ks. That's kind of their niche, right? There might be others that are focusing on small businesses, defined benefit, group benefit plans, things like that. Others may focus on just sole estate planning. So or college planning, which is a big one. I work a lot with Brian on that for college planning for families, which has been, I should have touched on that earlier, a great experience. So much learning in that. It's like you feel like you're kind of learning from the fire hose, right? Drinking from the fire hose, as far as the
Yeah, it's
information
so
that's out there.
complex. And you guys, yeah,
So
have been
complex. Yeah.
part of your webinars and programs. Yeah, go ahead and touch on that a little bit. Share any pearls with us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great experience because it helped me. I have young children. So prior to getting into this industry and then attending a lot of these webinars as I was learning along the way, it's like, you sit and you attend something and you're like, what? Like you have all these light bulbs go off and really acknowledge, man, if we just made some subtle changes, that could make a drastic impact on how much I'm going to have to pay out of pocket to the college. So it's just trying to inform the general public of what we're able to do. Again, it's all dependent on the individual because everybody's going to have different levels of wealth and where their money is and that sort of thing, how many kids they have, what colleges they want to go to. So there's a lot of factors that are going to affect things. But Brian's been doing this a long time. He'll tell the story. He's got like 8 or 9 nieces and nephews, and he was the financial guy, right? So everybody came to Brian when it came to college planning. What do we do? Da, da, da. So that became his niche. And then when I started working with Brian a few years ago, he and I really began working together on that effort. And oftentimes, college planning is one piece, right, of that timeline. So how can we help a family with the college planning so that it doesn't crush their retirement or, they're not ending up with massive amounts of debt? And there are ways. We just have to have those conversations, obviously, individually, because it's everyone's a little bit different. Yeah.
You just touched on this about really customizing your guidance and your recommendations. What is your process to do that? How do you do that so that people are getting the right information at the right life stage and they can hit their vision and their North
Yeah.
Star at the
Yeah,
right time?
it all starts with a fact find or an information gather. And we, at that initial conversation, are going to, one, try to identify what's their pain point, right? What is it that we can help them with? And then gather the information that will help us come up with those solutions. So we're looking at income. What type of insurances do you already have in place, whether that's for home, auto, life insurance? What type of investments and assets do you currently have? Do you have a will and trust in place, for your family? And we take that, and then we'll go back either as a team or individually, depending on the scale of the case, and put together recommendations. And we will then sit with the client, present the recommendations at that time, and typically give options because I think we all need that, right? Education's huge. I being in the fitness industry, I felt more like an educator than anything else. I wanted to empower the people that I worked with so that they could advocate for themselves. So I see myself naturally gravitating to the same thing. So when we sit down in a recommendation meeting, it's not a matter of, hey, we want you to do this because we want it. It's, let's provide you some education on what this means for you and your whole financial picture. Here are some choices that we can do. What makes sense for you, right? So that they can make the best informed decision.
Okay, so good. I really think personalization is a big part of the process. And for me personally, I think that a gap, and I think you guys are helping to fill that, is rather than just asking like financial goals, really understanding people's life goals. And I've
Agreed.
heard the
Yeah.
term kind of like life and financial planning, and I feel like that's really important.
One of the words that came up for me as I was thinking about us sitting down today was, as I approach my late 40s. My birthday was just this week, so now I'm even closer to the 50 mark. But anyway, one of the words I think about often is longevity, right?
Yeah.
So from a health perspective, I'm really trying to live out that from all areas of my life, and that can include financial. So from the longevity perspective, people think I should eat right, I should exercise, I got to take care of myself, I got to stay moving, right, keep my mind sharp, all those things, right, that'll give us a few extra years or whatever that might be. But there's also that thread again to the financial, the longevity of our money and our wealth, that when we do make it longer in life, are we going to be okay with what we've put in place, that our money doesn't run out, that we're protected from a long-term care perspective? What does that look like? And that's the conversation I want to have. I feel like I don't want that overlooked for people to just say, okay, let's take our money and da 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 da. Let's have that conversation. What does that look like for you? What does retirement look like? Do you want to live in the same house? Do you want to move? Where are your kids going to go? Do you want to live? Right. So I love that side of it, Lance. Honestly, I love getting to know people and what makes them tick and how I can best, help them. So that's what's kept me, honestly, through the struggle of learning a
Yeah.
new industry at my age, is the ability to still maintain that relationship with the people I get to work with.
Well, I mean, you're so strong with relationships and, thinking about people, connecting people, networking, all those things in connecting people who can help each other in a
Yeah.
positive way. And the other thing I'm really loving to hear, and I resonate with this, is a lot of times people don't even have the time, or, they just need a little bit of a nudge and support and some of the right
Yeah.
questions to create their vision. They don't really know what success looks like for them. So
Yeah.
they're never going to get there, right, if they don't have that clear picture. So you can
Yeah.
help develop that for the people. And then another thing that I'm noticing is often it's the leader of the house and or the business that really has their vision, but they don't necessarily collaborate and ask for their partner's vision. And
Absolutely.
then it's not going to work if they're
Right.
not combining those two visions, right, and bringing that together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, getting back to the whole small business
Yeah.
conversation, in those meetings, one of the questions, especially if you're in any type of, co-ownership, partnership, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
what does the succession plan look like, right? That's something we should have a conversation about. And also any type of, key man, key woman policy. If God forbid something happened to one of those owners, is the business protected? Are you protected? And oftentimes, I think again, those aren't necessarily thoughts that the small business owner may have, because they're just hustling. They're just looking to grow the business, and so that's where I hope to come in and highlight some of those areas that can help create a little more safety, protection, and longevity, right, of their business. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. And yeah, thank you, Anthony Tortorici. That's my Uncle Tony with that second question. I wasn't able to see that, but he's got a
Okay. Yeah.
real estate and investing background and super knowledgeable. So thanks for that AI question. I love it. Anything else, just let us know. And so Sheena, for you, I wanted to we're kind of getting into this, but what is your core message or messages if you had to pull out one or two things? And, I don't know if it's the same, but what is your personal mission? What are your biggest priorities, your cause, your reason, your why, whatever you like to call it?
Yeah. When I relate it to the business, like when I hear my why, I could just show you a picture of my family, right? But I guess as far as the mission, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, that I really am hoping to educate, I want to serve, and I want to empower people, and 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 help them in all areas of their life. And I'll be honest, I have clients that are both fitness clients and financial clients, which is fantastic. I love that I can help in multiple avenues. But my big why is the family, right? And so that's something that's so dear to me. And I hope that feeling that I have, and when I sit with the family across from me, or the business owner with their family across from me, that we can relate on that level, because there's such an amount of trust and rapport that has to be built also in this business, just like the fitness industry. It's a emotional conversation sometimes, and can be difficult. But yeah, I want to educate people. I want to help them become their own advocates.
Okay, so good. Yeah, so I know we touched on so much before we talk about how people can follow you and get in touch with you and your organization. anything we didn't talk about, any final messages that you want to share? If you were to put it all into a nutshell, what would be some
Well,
best boiled down life and entrepreneurial advice?
yeah, I think there's a couple things that come to mind for me. One is, when there's something that you are building, growing, you have a dream of, whatever it might be, it that's all it's ever going to be unless we take action towards it. So I encourage anyone that has that vision, that dream, to take those steps, right? To start making those connections, talking to people, educating yourself, whatever it is to help further that dream and that vision. Because I'm still in that process. Uh, and I have no problem in saying that I'm still growing in this business. And secondly, I think this voice that occurs in our head can get very loud, not necessarily the nicest voice, right? And one of the ways that I'm working to and continuing to do to combat that is to try to find those pieces of gratitude. Anything that you really just can find appreciation for. Like, so in those anxious, like, moments, it's like, stop, breathe, and think of something that you are just so thankful for. And I'm telling you, that fear will go away. So I know that's not necessarily related to my field, but I just think as far as like a life lesson, that's been really big for me to continue doing what I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. And how can everyone, find you, follow you, and learn, about all the opportunities and educational things you guys have upcoming?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So, one of the greatest ways to stay in touch with me is via LinkedIn. We have a lot of our webinars, the college planning webinars that we'll post up that way. You can find me in our team on our evolutionfg.com website for Evolution Financial Group. And then, of course, I think Lance may provide my direct contact information via email and phone number as well. And
Okay,
it's not an
awesome.
800 number. It would go right to me, just so you know. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. So good. Okay. Well, thank you, Hannah Hernandez, who's backstage helping us with all the things. So we'll post all those links and Sheena's contact information. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Sheena, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story and thanks for being so fearless, really, in following, and creating a whole new path and still, being involved in creating people's health, but now partly through the financial world and financial tools and resources. So thanks for all that you're doing. And everyone listening, please definitely take advantage of Sheena and all the resources she has to offer.
Yeah, Lance, thank you so much. I love the opportunity. I appreciate it. Everybody that attended today, Hannah, I appreciate your help as well. And continued success to you as well, Lance. I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank you so much. Okay, talk soon.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you.